I know it sounds crazy, but we do go on trust and friendships and word. Like, that's how we work. Since then, we have had some contacts with other people, and it has been a bit more corporate in some instances. And then we'll know what we prefer and what we don't as well. If it's in the contract, it's going to happen. It's going to be done. But I kind of feel like when things are set in stone, there's going to be this amount of posts, there's going to be this amount of stories. I don't actually feel that's not what the love and the joy and the sales and the success comes from. The success comes from the fact that you can see that this person who's designed this collection loves the collection that they've designed, and they're passionate about it, and they're wearing it anyway, and we're wearing it too.
Have you ever wondered why some brands grow exponentially, building legions of passionate fans that live and die by their logos, and some, well, don't? I do, all the time. And that's probably because I'm a massive brand nerd, but I believe there's a secret sauce at the core of every remarkable brand, a formula that sparks the growth of passionate communities of superfans, building a business and a reputation that will last for years to come. My name is Paul Archer, and I'm a specialist in brand advocacy and word of mouth, having consulted for hundreds of brands on a topic.
Hey, it's Verity here, your co-host of the Building Brand Advocacy podcast.
In this podcast, we tap into the greatest marketing minds in the world as they share the exact tactics and strategies used to build the world's greatest brands, dropping actionable insights every brand builder can apply.
We've got some incredible guests coming up, sharing insights and tips that can truly shift the marketing landscape. If you want to be the first to hear, make sure you hit that follow button. The more people following the show, the bigger and better we can make it. So if you're loving what you hear, don't forget to follow and spread the word. Thanks again for listening. It really means a lot. I hope you enjoy this next episode.
It's time to learn and build brand advocacy.
Hi, and welcome to Building Brand Advocacy. I am super excited today because I am joined by the founder of one of the most beautiful jewellery brands out there, Soru Jewellery. Welcome, Francesca.
Thank you. Hello, nice to be here.
There's loads to talk about today, from your focuses for the year ahead, being the face of the brand, but of course, advocacy. But I want to start with some of the collaborations, because I think that's how I actually found you, like years ago, through a collaboration that you did with a creator, and you've partnered with some really high profile creators. So I wanted to dig into that, and just how do you ensure that these collaborations not only elevate the brand aesthetically, but also amplifies your story and your brand values?
Yeah, well, everyone that we've done some amazing collaborations, and everyone that we've done a collaboration with, it's really come about very organically. So they're people that have always worn Soru anyway. They've been wearing us in their day-to-day lives. We've kind of started a friendship together. So because of that, I feel that, and these are people as well that I think it's important that they inspired me. So if they're inspiring me and I like to follow them and see what they're doing, then I know that probably our customer is too. And they're already wearing Soru in their day-to-day lives. So their customer is probably going to be interested in us. So it kind of naturally, that's how it...
Yeah, happened really organically.
Yeah.
Best way. And so you kind of found, so you're saying most of them have been customers before, and then just through social media. Yeah. It
is through social media. The first collaboration that we had lasted for 4 years, and we did 5 collections with the Fashion Bug blog, Laura Wills.
That's it. Yeah.
So that was the first collaboration that we'd ever done, and it was so successful, and it was so lovely. It was literally like working with a friend, and really that's what it was. It was not corporate at all. It was like working with a friend. We all enjoyed creating the collections together. She was wearing them organically. We were wearing them organically. We were promoting them just naturally, and it just, both of our audiences kind of resonated.
I think that's the one that I found you through, because I remember seeing loads of stories, and there was a certain earring. I wish I could describe it now, but it was a few years ago, and that's definitely how I found you. It just seemed to be everywhere.
Yeah,
we still are, but
she was really into rainbow before rainbow got really, really big. So it was all through the COVID era as well. We'd done a whole collection with her that was rainbow, and then COVID kind of hit. So it did go quite, like, it was everywhere, all over social media. But before that, our collections had been great together as well. So yeah, I mean, and then the second collaboration that we did after that was with Ariel Charnas in New York. So that was a totally different direction for us, because we hadn't really been looking at the American market, but we decided that we wanted to try and expand over there, and that really worked well for us. And the reason that came about is because Laura Wills from the Fashion Book blog was friendly with Ariel, and we had gifted her from the collaboration together, so we'd got talking together through that. So that's how that happened. And then Needle and Thread, which is, again, an amazing brand. And because we were friends with the founder, she's absolutely lovely. She's one of the most loveliest people in the industry. And so, again, it was like working with a friend, because we all really enjoyed, I mean, the clothes and the jewellery went so fabulously together as well. And then Daphne Oz, which is American. But for me, like, I love Daphne because I'm really into food. She's really into food. So I was following her anyway. She'd been wearing our jewellery, so I reached out, and then it happened naturally through that. And I love, like, the vibe that she gives us. She's so confident and positive, and all of these women, and the brand as well, Edenfeld, they're all brands and women that we ourselves love. So I think it works well. It's not forced.
I mean, that's lovely. I mean, there's elements of advocacy in there already that you just started mentioning about how, you know, it's through that person talking to that person and stuff like. And I suppose, first of all, before I move on, how has that kind of helped support you kind of breaking into the US market?
It did help. It really helped massively, because you have an influx of, I mean, Ariel's got a massive following, and she's very influential. So for us, it was brilliant, because we had a lot of new customers and a lot of new traffic to the site that probably wouldn't have found out about us before. So that's helped. I mean, when something like that happens, you just have to really make sure that you are, you know, you're pleasing the customer that probably doesn't know much about you. So you're over exceeding their expectations, I would say, in that moment. And that's how it goes from there, really runs from there.
Have you been over to America yet?
We haven't. You know, both times we've thought about doing because we could have done events with either, and I actually would have loved to have done an event with Daphne, which has been our latest collaboration. But we just haven't got there.
You need to get over there.
I know. It's children, it's juggling, you know, it's leaving the work behind. It's trying to fit it all in. So yeah.
So with these creators, they've obviously got really strong brand presences themselves. How do you ensure, like, the collaborations feel like, you know, sort of like a seamless extension from your brand to theirs? Because they've got clear identities. You guys have got clear identities. Yeah.
Well, again, I mean, it is literally, if I resonate with their values, their identities, I just feel that that's what I do. Basically, if I look at something, I just think to myself, does this person light me up? Do I feel excited to work with them? If it's a yes, and I feel inspired by them, I'm happy with what I can see that they're portraying on their pages, then it's a yes. Yeah. And I think it works well, because I'm always staying true. Me and my sister, we're always staying true to ourselves. So I think that it shows that it's genuine then. Yeah. And it kind of, I
mean, just give me a little glimpse into sort of like the partnerships and how it works, like, you know, over how long, and what does that kind of like day to day look like with the creators?
Well, again, we play it by ear. So if we're really enjoying working together, if we want, you know, as well, we get feedback from the customers along the way. So with the collaboration that we just did with Daphne, we didn't meet her, but we've been able to talk on Zoom pretty easy. So we can talk whenever we want on Zoom really easily. She'll put together mood boards of things that she'll love. We'll show her samples that we're working on. She'll ask how she wants to tweak them. You know, we'll go back and forth that way. And then she will organically, naturally be wearing the jewellery anyway. We will decide on a launch date together, and there will be a buzz around the launch. But after that, we're still organically wearing it. And then like, 'cause for instance, with Daphne R's, we had a lot of customers saying they absolutely loved the collection, but a lot of the pieces were too expensive for them. They wanted some lower price points. So we worked really quickly, and a few months later, we've now added to the collection. We've got like a second drop with some more accessible price points in there. So yeah.
What do you think has been like one of the biggest unexpected challenges working with creators?
I mean, if somebody's really high profile and they have a negative spin news story, or they have something happening in their life where they then come off socials for a while, which it kind of has happened around launch, and then they had to come off socials. It's just one of those things. And at this point, we're all kind of quite friendly as well. So we just accept it for what it is. We'll continue to promote as best as we can, and we just wait until they're ready again, because we understand that, things like this happen. But those things can happen.
Yeah. And also, I suppose, like, I don't know whether you have like agreements with them, but when I had my social media agency and we had collaborations, you cannot always guarantee that it's going to happen, even when it's their jewelry, their pieces, as well as the brand.
Yeah. So for our first collaboration, which lasted 4 years, and we did 5 collections, we had no contracts. We had nothing. We're cowboys. We're not very corporate at all. And I know a lot of people will be so shocked, and they'll be like, what? No, we are. I know it sounds crazy, but we do go on trust and friendships and word. Like, that's how we work. And then since then, we have had some contracts with other people, and it has been a bit more corporate in some instances. And then we'll know what we prefer and what we don't as well. It doesn't. If it's in the contract, it's going to happen. It's going to be done. But I kind of feel like when things are set in stone and they're in the contract, like, there's going to be this amount of posts, there's going to be this amount of stories, I don't actually feel that's what you get. Like, that's not what the love and the joy and the sales and the success comes from. The success comes from the fact that you can see that this person who's designed this collection loves the collection that they've designed, and they're passionate about it, and they're wearing it anyway, and we're wearing it too. So
yeah, because you would think like you wouldn't need it, because they would just want to talk about it all the time.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what we prefer, because it's a project of love then, rather than contracts.
You briefly touched on it just a second ago, because I wanted to ask about, once a collaboration has launched, keeping that energy keeping the buzz, I suppose, alive after the launch. Are there any, like, how do you keep it going? I know you mentioned, obviously, most of it is organic, but are there any particular kind of activations or activities that you do to kind of keep it going?
Well, I mean, we don't plan for anything, but if I'm feeling it, like, I might be feeling it, and I might go, oh, let's do a quick giveaway. Or I do like to talk to the customers a lot, and I like to get feedback on what, like I say, with the Daphne R's, we got some feedback there, and we added some more bits in. So I love that. We are just generally wearing, if we're loving it, then we're going to be wearing it. So you'll see it interspersed across socials, because we'll probably just naturally be wearing it all the time. But there isn't anything I specifically plan, but you're going to know if we love it, because it's just going to be there. It's just going to be in your face. And like I said, I do love to talk to the customers about it. I might, put a few polls on stories just to get a bit of a feedback, things like that.
Yeah, it's so super easy, but it's something that I think a lot of brands and, people within the brands forget to do. And, the polls is just, it's there for a reason. And, we talk a lot, we say it, probably on every episode, about creating this two-way dialogue. And I suppose, and also we're seeing the shift in how brands are working with creators, and you've been doing it since, almost day one, like bringing them into the fold and creating products together, and then adding that next level by bringing your customers into that mix as well. It's so powerful.
Yeah, it's really valuable, the tools that you've got on Instagram to be able to talk with a customer. It's yeah, you need to use them because they're really valuable. They shape a lot of what we do. Like even when we're bringing out our new collections for ourselves, there's heavy involvement from the customer. So it shapes the way that we're kind of going to go.
Yeah. How do you think the role of creators will change?
So, I mean, we've never paid somebody like just an advert, wear the jewellery, we'll pay you to wear the jewellery. We've done a lot of gifting, but I feel that if you gift, it's up to them if they like it and they want to wear it. And then it's shown that, you know, they really like this to wearing it. I feel like if you pay them and it's a paid ad and then they're never going to wear it again, I think it's absolutely, it's useless. It doesn't. So I think that now other people are it's so much of it everywhere that people aren't buying into it anymore. People are bored of it. So I think it is a lot more about what people genuinely like, what people really want. So if you have creators in every post is just an ad, I feel like people are just they're not buying into that anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we were just talking about it before, and like we're just consuming more and more, but we're connecting less because we're seeing it more, and we want to be brought into spaces, even if it is just, you know, like a broadcast channel or getting into DMs with brands and having a chat. Like we just want to come away from scrolling so much.
Yeah, I think everyone's getting there now.
Yeah. On that, I want to sort of like touch on focuses for 2025 and slightly beyond. What platforms or digital spaces have been the most effective for your growth? I think I know the answer, but let's see.
hands down, Instagram.
Yeah.
So we began in 2013. So it was a great time to get on Instagram. Before we started, I wasn't on any social media. So I never had MySpace. I didn't have Facebook. I wasn't on Instagram.
Have MySpace?
I was on nothing.
Oh
like all my friends were on Facebook. And I was like, no, I'm not going on. I was actually I was like, I'm not going on. No. This is great that I'm not on. I love it. And then I started Soru and we didn't have any budgets. So it was like, right, this is free. I can see that there's this platform called Instagram. I don't know anything about it at all. There's a platform called Twitter. There's Pinterest. Don't know anything about any of them. And there's Facebook that everyone's on. So that must be amazing. So I'm going to set up accounts on all of them. And I'm just going to try and work out how they work and just put things out there and see and just kind of learn along the way. I did a lot of Googling then on what on earth I needed to do. And Instagram just stuck. So Twitter kind of fell aside. Facebook kind of fell aside. I know, yeah. Pinterest, I did a lot of community building on Pinterest, actually.
Interesting.
I met a friend who then said to me, I'm going over to Instagram. You know, you need to do more on Instagram. I was like, oh, okay. So I went over because she said, we're still friends now. She had a brand too. We'd met on Pinterest. And it's great, actually, along the way. I've made the most amazing friends through social media. But I set up Instagram and it stuck. It just stuck. I started building this community. It was engaging. And I felt I learned how to take great pictures. And we just got great engagement on there. So it worked for us. And I think we were really lucky because there wasn't too much noise on the platform then. It was a great time as a brand to be starting out. So we really did build our entire brand, I would say, through Instagram. It was free. I learned how to do it. It took some time, but everything that happened since came from Instagram as well. So, different creators that we've worked with or different stores that we've been in, it all came from Instagram.
It's crazy, isn't it? Just, like you said, it's a free platform as well. Like how, and, there's so many brands that have, kind of fallen into that. Whereas now it looks so different if you're starting out on Instagram.
Yeah, it's very different.
It's very different. But it's also really interesting that you said like meeting that community piece on Pinterest, because you would think it would be the other way around.
Yeah, it's strange. When I look back now, I think, that was meant to be, because she kind of persuaded me to come to Instagram and I was spending a lot of time on Pinterest. And I'm never on Pinterest now. So, I mean, it was strange how that happened, but it must have, it was just meant to be. And she guided me over to Instagram and then we stayed on Instagram ever since.
How do you see sort of Instagram evolving for you and the brand over? Because it's like we've just said, constantly changing. It's noisier than ever before, and that's not going to change. Particularly if anything happens with TikTok, we're probably going to see more and more brands that have built their brands through TikTok are going to want to come to other platforms. How do you feel about that? How do you think it's going to evolve?
Well, we've already seen it changing so much. Like I'm trying to learn new ways all the time now. So I think it's going to evolve I think that there'll be, I listen to Gary Vee a lot.
Yeah.
You do, but I love Gary Vee. So all I've got echoing in my mind is live shopping. It's going to be live shopping. There's going to be avatar creators, this kind of world that I'm imagining. I'm trying to get ready for it because I listen to him all the time, but it's daunting.
Yeah.
But it's as a founder and somebody that's on Instagram, it's learning new skills all the time, like learning new ways to market. Now, it really isn't about how many followers you've got, whereas back then it was about how many followers you've got. Now it's about how good your content is. So you really have to learn extremely difficult new skills and learn how to do them if you want to succeed on social media.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point actually that you say there about it is completely different skills. And so just tell us about, I'm kind of going off piece a little bit here, but just tell us about the brand and how you got started, because it's just you and your sister, right?
Yes, It's just me and my sister. We started in 2013. We started because, really, I'm going to be really real. It's because I had a daughter and I'd left my job as a buyer. And I knew that when she was going to be going to school, she was 2 at the time. When she was going to school, I'd need to get another job. And if I went back into buying, I probably wasn't going to be there for her very much because it's full on. And that was the experience that I had. That's the industry I knew. And I did love it, and I did miss it. But I knew I needed to get a job, and I didn't really want to be leaving my daughter, not being there for her. So I kind of said to my sister, come on, she's got young children too. She wasn't working. I said, we'll do this together. And so that's how it came about. I used to be a jewellery buyer for Claire's Accessories, so jewellery kind of came naturally to me. We were starting off as a bridal company mainly.
Okay.
We were starting off with totally different look of different things. I thought there was a gap in the market there. And there was a gap in the market as well for beautiful, well-made jewellery between the very expensive costume jewellery of, designers and the high street jewellery. And me and my sister both loved that kind of middle market. We wanted to have something that we could afford, but that was still beautiful and very unique. So we did have some of the styles that we still do now, like the crystals and the gemstones. But then we also had like a bridal, and I thought the bridal would take off, and it didn't. It was the other things that took off. So we kind of pivoted and just went with what we were selling. But there was no plans. It was literally, my daughter's 2. By the time she needs to go to school, I'm going to have to get a job. Let's see if this could be my job. And then it worked out. Worked out really well. Yeah. Much better than we'd ever expected. I think my sister was a little shocked, so I don't think she was expecting to but
still be doing this now. Yeah.
Just for it to have taken off, or to be working so hard either. I think she just thought, it's like a little hobby. It's really nice. And then it was, this is full on. And it is full on, but we still could be there for our children when we needed to be. And that was the most important thing at the time for us. So.
And because I asked about that because I wanted to link back to like the skills and stuff. And obviously you both doing such an incredible job, considering that you've had to kind of like really learn this on the go, right? Particularly, with Instagram being such a key platform for you. Because you are the face of the brand, right?
Well, you say that, but I don't feel like I'm the face. I don't feel like I'm the face of the brand. I think that's just happened on accident, from having no budget, from having no strategy, to going onto social media, showing people the jewellery that you've got. It's just kind of naturally happened that way, but I don't see it like that.
Yeah. But I think that will be one of the, it'll be part of how you've built this following and this community, because people buy from people. And, this is why we are seeing a bit of a shift now with like a lot of brands. If it's not founder led, they'll bring someone in to be that kind of presence of a founder, if that makes sense, because we are, as consumers, we want to connect with someone. So I think that is, whether you see yourself or not, it will be one of the reasons why, they love you so much, because of you and your sister.
Yeah.
Without
And
a doubt.
I do find it a really like valuable, me myself being on Instagram, because then I get to talk to the customer and I get to hear what they're saying. And there has been times when it's so busy and I feel like I'm not on socials enough, and it's such an important part of the business. And then I'm panicking, thinking, well, maybe I need to take someone on to do socials. But it's just such a value. I just find it so valuable that I would never want to give it to anyone else for that reason. And like you say, things are changing now, and there are a lot more founders on, showing their brands, and it does help to show that this is us, this is our brand, this is what we do. I'd like to share more of our story, because there's a lot of story, and it's mainly been me showing the jewellery or wearing the jewellery, styling the jewellery, or where am I wearing the jewellery, or what are we doing, but I haven't actually shared so much of the story. So
yeah,
I do feel I can do that a little bit better, I think.
Well, feel free to go for it today if you want. And I will get to the end of this question. I'm sorry, I keep referring back to it, but I was just wondering about, like you just mentioned, like the new skills, like the content now is, so important, and it's about shareable content. We know that, Instagram's just come out with this 3-part series about how they rank it, and there's still an element of likes being in there, but obviously it's about the shares. And will you continue to just learn all of these new skills? I know it's hard to hand over the face and all of that, but in terms of the other stuff, like creating more content, do you feel that can still sit with you, or is there an element of...
This is at the moment what I'm juggling in my mind. So half of me is like, just learn it. You could learn it before, just learn it. I love listening to business podcasts. I love business books. I'm happy to spend the time and learn it. But then does it, certain things don't come natural to me. Talking on camera doesn't come natural to me. So it's trying to find other ways of sharing the stories or filming without necessarily talking. And I think it's fine. It'll take me some time to find my feet, and I like to experiment and try all of these different things. And I feel quite safe on Instagram because I've been on there for so many years. It feels easy for me to test and try on there. I don't get too nervous about it. So I'll just test and try all the different ways, all the different things. I mean, creating hooks, thinking of certain, copy and taglines, and I used to just take beautiful pictures and it worked really well. Everyone loved it. And now it's like, oh my gosh, I have to, it's totally different now. But yes, I'm trying to do it myself, but I do have this little niggle, and it's like, oh, could you work with someone to do this? Maybe you could work with someone that could help you do this. But we're a really small team, and this I don't know whether it's just because I'm the founder. Sometimes you find it hard to, it's got to be the right person,
of course,
and I think it could be really difficult to find that right person. It's hard though. It's not something that it doesn't come natural to me. So I could absolutely get that. So then you could work with someone else, or like Gary Vee says, you can find different ways of doing it. So if you're not confident, it doesn't come natural to you to speak to the camera, you're not that charismatic, but you do have something to say, then maybe it's a video with text over it. But it's still, you've still got to be able to get, or maybe it's your voice over a video and you're not looking at the camera. There's other ways to do it. So I want to experiment with everything, but it's still, you've really got good at taglines, copy, grabbing that attention. I'm starting to use Chat GPT now to ask.
It's my
Which
best
I
friend
never
every
thought.
day.
I never thought I was so against. I was like, hey, I know, no, this is awful, this is awful. I'm like, oh, actually, I can ask. It can give me some good ideas here. So
it can, I think, I know what you mean. I think you kind of feel a bit reluctant to kind of get into that world because you're worried about, I suppose, the unauthenticity of it all. But actually, I use it every day, and I think when you train it right, and it has an element of my tone of voice now, it can cut productivity.
Wow, okay.
It can cut tasks in half.
Wow, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've only ever asked questions to Chat GPT. I need to I need to do a deeper dive.
Yeah. I want to go back to 2025. Are there any untapped markets or audiences that you're looking to kind of get into?
So many. There's so many, but that's what I love, because there's always so many opportunities, possibilities, things that we haven't explored yet. So we want to continue to expand into the American market, which is doing really, they're about 25% of our sales now. And it's just a nice, slow, steady growth, which is the way that I like it. So that's going really well. And then there's so many social platforms that we should be on every single social platform, and we're not. So I want to go back to Pinterest, YouTube, and I want to start. I do want to be able to do, experiment with the new, because I do think live selling is going to be big. So I want to kind of try and get more accustomed to live.
Do you think you'll focus in on that on TikTok?
I think I could test on. I think TikTok is so great for testing because it's so casual and we haven't got a massive following, and it seems like it doesn't really matter so much over on TikTok. So it's great to go over there and test. But I do feel quite safe testing on Instagram as well. But yeah, we want to build up our TikTok following, and we do have a possible collaboration actually on TikTok this coming year, which I'm really excited about. I was just talking to my sister on the train this morning, so I'm very, very excited about that. A lady who's amazing on TikTok, amazing.
I think that will be a really key way in for, sort of any brand looking to kind of tap into a new platform, because I think YouTube is going to be on the rise for a lot of brands. We had Victoria on from YouTube on the show not so long ago, and she was, talking about Kurt Geiger and things like that. So I think brands are going to wake up to it this year. And one of her biggest pieces of advice is to tap into the creators on the platform. So I think that's definitely going to be a way in for people, is to find, the big creators on there. And then, I agree. Yeah. What do you think is going to be one of the boldest risks that you take?
Well, we are looking at something that we never thought that we'd do, but we're looking at having a physical space, an actual store. So, this is something we'd always said, absolutely no way. It's not what we want. But for some reason this year, we can't get it out of our heads. So, and I do think it would be local to where we're based. But I think that's great because we've got such a loyal customer base there. So it'd be great to have a place where we can hold events, we can meet people. But I'm also thinking for socials as well, because we can do live selling from the space, we can record from the space. So I think it would be so beneficial to have that store.
I think it's a real big thing at the moment. You sort of that in real life to URL experience. And I think we're craving it a little bit. And even as consumers, customers or creators, we kind of want that storytelling piece that we can then bring online, and kind of like start merging the two as, sort of like building those connections as well.
Yeah, it would be lovely to be able to have a destination that people can come to if they want, and to meet our customers face to face. And you're right, we do. I'm craving that now. So people do crave real connection.
Yeah, exciting.
I know, but also actually because the jewellery looks so different in real life.
It does.
And it will be so amazing to finally have on display where we're in control of, rather than a store. It's our store. We're in control of how it's displayed, how it's looked, and be able to show that off.
Yeah, you kind of need to capture that wow moment of like when you open it up and see it, because you're right. You're not expecting it. You are, but to see it in real life is so different, and it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. And, when you first put it on and all of that stuff is, you can only capture that by being in person with someone, really.
The real experience. Yeah.
I can't wait for that. I want to go back to sort of like being the face of the brand, because I know you say you don't feel like it. And I suppose if you don't feel like it, you may not feel that kind of you sort of like balancing the personal identity with the brand. Do you feel like it's all kind of just merged into one?
I feel like it's just me. Yeah, it's just me. So the brand is me. It's my life. It's what I do every day. So I do feel like there's not much difference between personal, the brand, social. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Do you feel any pressure with that though, on the flip side of it?
Pressure in the sense that if I'm out and it's it's just I'm just out, I'll be taking some pictures for socials. Pressure in that sense. But then I kind of count that as my job. So I don't feel like, I just feel like it's my job. It's what I do. I don't see any pressure. I mean, you can't please everybody, but if there's a community and if somebody's following us and they don't like what they're seeing, then they just don't have to follow us. So
we mentioned sort of like more brands being female founded now. Who's inspiring you at the moment?
Like literally everyone inspires me. I love
that.
There's so many. All of them, everybody out there. I always love to hear about their stories, see what they're doing. I mean, there's so many amazing brands. There's Grace Beverley, there's Odd Muse Amy, there's Never Fully Dressed founder, which the girls from Rixo. Honestly, I would miss one because the list can go on. I love to hear about their stories and see what they're up to and see how they're navigating it as well.
Yeah.
All the changes in social media.
I know. And actually, like, all those people you've just mentioned are sort of like on my list as well. I'm not a founder of a brand, but even just like how they're navigating the space and, yourself as well. Just, it's just really interesting to kind of like see that journey. And I think it's great to see so many female founded brands and them putting themselves out there as well. It's well needed.
Yeah, I love it.
I want to touch on the Princess of Wales because she, obviously global icon wearing your jewellery. Yeah. Just tell me a little bit about that moment.
Okay. I mean, it was amazing. Basically, the moment was amazing when we found out. Again, it happened, funnily enough, if you trace it back through Instagram, because I'd reached out to a boutique on the King's Road that had not long opened, asked them if they'd like to see our jewellery, if we could come and meet them. We did. They took some of our jewellery into the store, but they obviously had royal connections that we didn't know about. The pieces were bought from the store through the royal connections. And then obviously the princess decided to wear them. She wore them for the opening to a museum event, and then she wore them the very next day to Wimbledon. So because she'd worn this unknown brand twice, 2 days, the press went crazy. Who's this brand? Where are they? So we had a lot of traffic and a lot of visitors that we wouldn't have, from all over the world, that we wouldn't have otherwise had. And for me and my sister as well, it was I mean, there is a story behind it because we'd been in business for about between 2 and 3 years, I think, at the time. And my sister she was packaging up all the orders each night. The kids had gone to bed. You've got the TV on. She's packaging up the orders. It's really getting a lot now. It's getting a lot. And she wasn't expecting it to be a lot. And we'd had a little bit of an argument. And she was like, I don't want to do this. It's too difficult. And I was like, well, I really want to do this. It's hard work. That's what it's going to be. But it's too hard. I'm not doing it. And we kind of put the phone down on each other and we just weren't talking. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Okay, Mary doesn't want to do it anymore. It's fine. I'm going to do it anyway. And literally 5 minutes after we put the phone down, the store called us and said, Kate, Princess, has wore the earrings. And I was like, what? I was in shock. So I phoned my sister and she was like, what? Why are you phoning me back? What? I'm not. And I was like, no. I said, Kate's just wore her earrings. She was, what? I said, is it right? It's back on. Get in. We're back on. We're sticking it through. We're staying. And from then on in, never looked back because that was a real changing moment for us. We really grew a lot from that. There was the Kate effect. There is an effect because there was a lot of traffic from around the world. So
that's so incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just such perfect timing as well because I didn't know we didn't know what was going to happen from there.
How do you think, so obviously you gained a lot of new customers
Yes.
in that moment, and obviously throughout. In terms of like sustaining those customers, what do you think has been some of the most pivotal things that you guys have done to kind of keep them stuck with you throughout the years?
Yeah, we really ensured that we had great communication with them. So we over exceeded on the product, on the delivery, on the communication. We're a very personal brand. So, and a lot of the new customers were from America, and they actually really appreciate that. They really appreciate that about us, and the packaging, the jewelry. So I think that when they receive, they're like, oh, wow. And we keep our customers away. I mean, to this day, and it's kind of always been this way, 50% of our customers are repeat customers. So we don't have a lot of budget and spend into gaining new customers. We grow that slowly, sustainably, and we have an amazing rate of return customers. So I think that's how we do it.
Well, it's cheaper to retain customers than it is to gain new ones.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
And I have to ask, how do you build brand advocacy?
Like that, really, being very, very genuine, being honest, sticking to your values, your core mission, values, what you want to achieve. Like, if I like it, if it lights me up, then we'll do it. Otherwise, it's a no.
Yeah.
We have great communication with our customers, and really just making sure that everything that we do is we're happy with it. It's to our best, highest standards. Building the reviews so that other people can see as well, and spreading word of mouth. That's it, really. I think you have to stick true to what. Because over this amount of years, it's been quite a while, and there's been times, we could have done things that maybe didn't really align with us, or we didn't think that was that great, but it would have been great for marketing. It would have been great. I think it's just staying true to what you really want.
It's number one. Yeah. Of the whole kind of like principles of brand advocacy. You've got to know what you stand for and stick with it. And I think that's what keeps your reputation.
Yeah.
And without your reputation, because that's what people say about you once you've left the room, isn't it? Like, the values, and that's what they remember you for. And it can be so, like, you can lose it quite quickly if you don't stick to it. Yeah. And it just takes so much time to build. So once you've got it, you've got to stick with it.
And it's important to feel people can trust you, trust your brand, you're trustworthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And Francesca, where can people find you?
We are at Soru Jewellery at Instagram. That's where I am. So if you want to message me, DM, it's me that's on there. And also we're on TikTok as well. I'm just starting out on TikTok.
But it will still be you.
It's still me. It's still me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was another episode of Building Brand Advocacy, the world's top brand building podcast. To find out more about building brand advocacy and how this podcast is part of a bigger plan for our brand building cookbook, then make sure to search for Building Brand Advocacy in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that podcasts are found, and make sure that you click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks to Jewel for sponsoring. To find out more, go to www.duel.tech, that's duel.tech. And on behalf of the team here at Building Brand Advocacy, thanks for listening.